My people, in my last video I showed you how to cut this gown. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to sew it in a quick and fast way. So I'm starting with the back part of this gown. That's the back part of the blouse part of this gown. You guys understand what I mean? So this is the back piece and I just aligned it together and I'm going to sew. Okay, so you're going to do this for both pieces of the back and for the lining as well. Now I took it over to my sewing machine and I just joined the back together. Mind you, the back part of this gown has a princess dart. Okay, so this is what the back part looks like after I've joined it together. After joining, this is what it looks like I just said. Then I did, you guys remember I said also do same thing for the lining. So I grabbed the lining piece, I placed it on the main piece, and I'm just going to use the lining to turn over the neckline of this blouse. Okay, so after doing, I took it over to my sewing machine, I turned it over. After turning it over, I flipped it to the other side and I top stitched. Okay, you want to make sure you do it as neat as possible so everything has a very cool finishing. So after turning over the neckline, I used my hemming gum to seal down the zip allowance, the armhole, the side, and the hem. Okay, no need for top stitching these days. So after doing all that, both pieces, I placed them on each other and I joined it at the zip allowance. Okay, so I took it out to my sewing machine and I just joined the zip allowance with very loose stitches, not tight. Now after joining, I gave it a good press and the back part of this gown is ready. Now it's time for the front. Okay, so this is the front pieces. I've gone ahead to pad it. If you don't know how to pad a bustier, I have a tutorial on this channel on how to pad a bustier. Check the link in the comment section. So I place them on each other. You want to make sure the under bust point lines up equally. It's properly aligned. And you're also going to do same thing to the lining, just like we did for the back part. So I took it over to my sewing machine and I carefully attached the center front to the side front. Okay, I did this for both pieces of the side front. Now this is what it looks like after, this is what it looked like after I gave it a good press. I did same thing to the lining as well. Now the next thing I went ahead to do was to turn my front part. I turned my front part and I did right sides facing each other. I made sure everything was well aligned. Then I took it over to my sewing machine. I'm just going and joined it across along the neckline. Okay, so I took it to my sewing machine, I joined along the neckline. I also went ahead to flip it over and I gave it a top stitch. You guys, you want to make sure you're always top stitching. If not, your neckline will just be puffing. So after top stitching, I gave it a good press. Now for the front part, because it's a bustier and it was busy jumping, I top stitched the armhole, the side, and the hem. Okay, now the next thing I went ahead to do was to place the back and the front on each other, and I joined it on the shoulder lines. Okay, I joined the shoulder lines. You guys remember we put sewing allowance for the shoulder lines, so I just took that out. Then I marked out a measurement and I joined the sides. Okay, I joined the sides as well. Now after joining the side, this is what it looked like, guys. You can see the bustier is bustiering. The bustier is what? Bustiering. So this is what it looked like after joining the back piece and the front piece together. I couldn't show you the back because it was busy hanging because of the bustier in front, so I had to like kind of stand it so you will see. Now for the skirt part, you guys, the first thing I went ahead to do, I've already turned over, I've already used my hemming gum to seal my lining and my skirt and my main piece together. So the next thing I went ahead to do was just to join the zip, just to join it at the zip allowance. Now you want to join this particular zip allowance with loose stitches. You get why? So after joining it at the zip allowance, and I went ahead to mark my dart for the skirt part. The length of this dart is 5.5 is 5 inches. Yeah, 5 inches. Then I went ahead to pick it. Okay, I went ahead to pick my dart, both the two sides of the skirt. Okay, for the back part. You guys should notice that I'm sewing with both industrial and domestic machine because my two machines decided to break down, so I was just managing it to film the tutorial for you guys. So after picking the dart and ironing it, this is what it looked like. So I went ahead to place the back part on the front part, marked out my measurements, and I took it over to my sewing machine to join. Okay, you guys, like I said, my machine was showing me shake Okay, so after joining the front and the back together, this is what it looked like. I don't know, when I looked at this skirt, I was like, am I this big? Am I this big? But anyways, this is what we have here. I had to turn it to the back so you guys will see what it looks like. So now it's time for the flounce. You guys remember that we cut a flounce, so you're just going to join the pieces. Remember, we cut on a fold, so each pieces you cut has a lining. So I just joined it together, turned it over, top stitched, and gave it a good press. Now if you want the very full effects that the flounce, that the gathers in the thumbnail had, you might just want to gather your flounce, because me, I ended up pleating my flounce, so you might want to gather it with your ruffle foot presser. So now back to the skirt. Next I went ahead to do was to draw a straight line in the middle. Then on the side I marked 1.5 inch from both sides. That's from the left hand side and from the right hand side. I marked 1.5 inch from the seam. Okay, that is how I got the lines. Okay, now so after marking, the next thing I went ahead to do was to open up. I turned it over to the wrong side. I don't even know why I had to turn it to the lining. Anyway, you guys, sometimes my brain just works funny. Okay, so now the next thing I went ahead to do was to open up. Yeah, I remember why I turned it over, so that you guys will see that this is a zip allowance. I turned it over and I just opened up the zip allowance. The reason why I'm tearing it this easily is because I sewed it with loose stitches. Don't try this when you do tight stitches. It will just tear and you'll cry premium tears. Okay, so now after opening it up, we have like a flat base, not really flat. Next I went ahead to do was to place the flounce on the lines, each of the lines. Now remember I told you that I pleated my flounce to get a more jumping effect, but I would advise you do a ruffles. Okay, you ruffle it. Like you might not even need to cut flounce. You might just cut your normal fabric and you pleat it. It will still give you a jumping effect. Okay, so I took it over to my sewing machine. I just attached the flounce to the skirt. Okay, now after attaching the flounce to the skirt, it will have very wavy pattern, so you just need to grab your pressing iron and just iron it the way the pattern came. Just give it a good press like that. I've already done it here, but I was just trying to show you guys what I did off camera. Okay, so you want to give it a good press. Make sure the seam is aligned. You want to flip it to the other side so it covers those stitches you made. Okay, which is what I did here. Now the next thing I went ahead to do was to grab my blouse part of this gown. Then I aligned center to center. Okay, I aligned it center to center and I joined it. Okay, so I took it back to my sewing machine and I just joined middle to end to middle. That's how I do my own joining. Some people join end to end, but me, I like to do middle to end, then end to middle. That's how I do my own joining. So after joining, this is what we have here. This is what we have here. It's been a while I made gowns like this. Sincerely, I don't make gowns like this, but I enjoyed this one because it came out perfect. Okay, so after joining, this is what we have here. You want to make sure you give that the place where we just joined a very good press. Next thing I went ahead to do was to mark where my zip will stop and also mark where my slits will start. Then I'm just going to join in between. So this is where my zip is going to be. Then after that place, I'm going to join it down to where my slit, that's the opening for the skirt, is going to start. So you can see that we have just a little portion to join. We're not going to join this end because that's the slit. Okay, so I was just trying to show you guys. Then I just took over to my sewing machine and I sewed the places I told you I want to sew. My mouth is paining me, you guys. So at the end, I made sure I gave it a back stitch so everything is secured. The next thing I went ahead to do was I grabbed my zip and I attached my zip to the gown. Now zippers used to be very difficult for me to attach. Zip, anyone you call it, but right now it's no longer difficult because the more you practice, the less trouble you have. Okay, so after attaching my zip, this is what we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Next I went ahead to do was to cut a basic sleeve. If you don't know how to cut a basic sleeve, I have detailed tutorial on how to cut a basic sleeve on this channel. I'm going to leave the tutorial, both tutorials, in the comment section. So check the comment section, pinned comment for the link to the tutorial. So next, before to attach the sleeve, you want to make sure you notch the middle of the sleeve. Okay, you want to make sure you notch the middle of the sleeve. That will help you to properly align the sleeve. Okay, so after this, the next thing I had to do was to open up the gown. Now see where the notch is important, because you need it to align with the middle part. I don't know why I'm always biting my tongue when it comes to part. With the middle part of the shoulder. Okay, so then I grabbed my office pin. Oh God, you guys, I'm hungry. So I grabbed my office pin. I also secured the end of the sleeve to my side seam allowance. Then I used clips to clip the sleeve. Okay, because clip is easier to sew your sleeve with than pin. So if you're struggling when you're attaching your sleeve, just use clips. Okay, so you guys, after clipping it, the next thing I went ahead to do was I took it over to my sewing machine and I joined. Now when you are putting your sleeve, you want to make sure it's properly aligned. So I took it back to my sewing machine and slowly I attached it to the gown. No need to rush. So after attaching it, this is what the sleeve looks like. Is it not beautiful? Is it not pretty? I'm feeling it. Guys, this is the full outfit. This is giving Madam Senator ready to spend some money. You guys, if you watched up to this point, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to share. If you are watching from Facebook, don't forget to follow my page. If you're watching from YouTube, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Do come back for more videos, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. And you can rate my dance step. I was dancing to Arastar's song in my head. Okay.